The crowd roared. Music thundered through the college auditorium. Bright lights flickered on the stage as two rival dance crews faced each other like warriors about to enter a battlefield. Sweat glistened on their foreheads, but it wasn't just about dance, it was about pride, survival, and revenge. At the center of the storm stood Daniel, the boy with quiet eyes and broken shoes. He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the richest. But tonight, his shadow carried secrets darker than the music, heavier than the drums. Somewhere in the crowd, a hand slid under a jacket, fingers curling around cold steel. A gun. And as the beat dropped, so did the line between dance and death. Welcome to Nightfall Tales by Wara, where every story is a heartbeat, and every heartbeat hides a secret. The sun burned over Riverside College, a campus alive with laughter, rivalry, and dreams. Students rushed across the dusty walkways, some chasing books, others chasing fame. But in the middle of it all was Daniel, a second-year student with little more than his worn sneakers, his shy smile, and a body that moved like water when the music came on. Daniel wasn't popular. He wasn't from money. His father was a struggling mechanic in the village, his mother a petty trader. But what Daniel carried was fire in his bones, a rhythm that could silence even the noisiest crowd. Still, college life was cruel. Especially with boys like Victor, the campus golden child. Tall, rich, handsome, leader of the hottest dance crew, Victor owned the stage, and he knew it. To him, Daniel was nothing but a shadow, a joke. It all started in the cafeteria that Monday. Daniel had been quietly eating his plate of beans and Gary when Victor and his gang swaggered in. The whole place hushed as they spotted him. "Hey, broken shoes!" Victor sneered. "Why don't you use those dancing legs to fetch water for us?" The crowd laughed. Daniel kept quiet, his eyes burning but his lips sealed. Then came Amaka. She was beautiful, bold, with eyes that carried both kindness and rebellion. She sat beside Daniel that day, shielding him from the mockery. Victor's smirk froze when he saw it. That was the beginning of everything: love, rivalry, and the storm that would shake the college to its bones. By mid-semester, the campus was on fire with excitement. The Inter-College Dance Championship was coming, the biggest competition of the year. Winning meant fame, sponsorship, and a ticket to the national stage. Victor's crew, the Vipers, had dominated for 2 years. Nobody dared challenge them. Until Daniel, fueled by pride and quiet anger, decided to form his own crew. He gathered misfits, the shy guitarist, the girl from the library who danced secretly at night, and even Amaka, who stunned everyone with her raw, fearless moves. They called themselves the Shadows. But Victor would not sit back. He mocked, he bullied, he spread lies. One night, Daniel returned to the hostel to find his mattress slashed open, his shoes stolen. Scrawled on the wall in red paint were the words, "You can't dance in the dark." Amaka wanted him to report it, but Daniel shook his head. "No. I'll answer them on the stage." But deep inside, anger brewed. And revenge whispered his name. Rehearsals stretched into long nights. The Shadows danced in empty classrooms, under flickering bulbs, their sweat staining the concrete floors. Slowly, they found rhythm. Slowly, they became a family. But shadows also attract darker things. One night, as Daniel left practice, a man in a black hoodie followed him across the campus. Daniel noticed the footsteps. Faster, heavier. He turned, too late. A punch crashed into his face, sending him to the ground. Victor's voice echoed, "You should have stayed in the dark." Then boots rained down on him, until a whistle blew and lights scattered. The boys fled. But Daniel saw something before he passed out. One of them wasn't Victor. One wore a mask. And in his hand, gleamed a gun. When he woke in the campus clinic, Amaka sat by his side, her eyes red from crying. She held his hand. "They're trying to break you, Daniel. But you can't let them. Promise me you'll fight." Daniel looked at her, pain and fire mixing in his chest. "I won't just fight," he whispered. "I'll win. Even if it kills me." And outside, in the dark, the masked stranger loaded his weapon. The dance had only just begun. Campus life moved like a drumbeat, fast, loud, restless. Everywhere, whispers about the upcoming dance championship spread like wildfire. Posters were on walls, students were placing bets, and tension brewed like a storm cloud. Daniel walked across the quad with Amaka one evening, his bandaged face drawing stares. She carried his books, refusing to let him walk alone. Their bond had grown closer than anyone expected. But closeness breeds fire. Victor saw them from afar, his jaw tightening. He hated how Amaka looked at Daniel like he was more than just a boy in broken shoes. In Victor's mind, she belonged to him. He wasn't just losing the stage, he was losing his pride. That night, Amaka confessed. "Daniel, when you dance, it's like you're not afraid of anything." "That's why she stopped, her cheeks glowing. Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to tell her what he felt, but he feared it. Fear of love. Fear of losing her. Fear that shadows don't deserve light. Before he could speak, a stone flew past them, shattering the classroom window nearby. Laughter followed from the darkness. Victor's boys. But this time, Daniel didn't cower. He picked up the stone, held Amaka's hand, and whispered. "They think I'm still the boy in broken shoes. But I'm not. Not anymore." The auditorium smelled of sweat, dust, and fresh paint as rehearsals for the big competition began. Crews gathered, showing off moves, sizing each other up like gladiators. The shadows walked in. Eyes turned. Whispers followed. "Is that Daniel? They don't stand a chance. Victor will crush them." Victor's crew, the Vipers, dominated the room with flashy steps and expensive costumes. Their performance oozed confidence. Then the shadows stepped forward, plain clothes, rough shoes, but moves carved from pain and fire. They danced. And for a moment, silence fell. Their rhythm was raw, their unity fierce. Amaka's spins left the crowd gasping. Daniel's body seemed to bend with the music like it was part of him. But victory invites danger. Midway, the lights went out. Screams filled the hall. When the power returned, the shadow speaker system was destroyed, wires ripped apart. Rehearsal was cancelled. The judges shook their heads. "If you can't bring equipment on the day of the show, you're out." Daniel clenched his fists, fury boiling. Someone had sabotaged them. And in the corner, Victor smiled, slow and cruel. But what Daniel didn't see was the masked stranger watching from the balcony, his hand brushing the gun hidden beneath his jacket. The stage wasn't just broken. It was cursed. The night before the championship, rain poured heavy on the hostel roofs. The shadows gathered in their small room, rehearsing with nothing but claps and voices. They were bruised, tired, but united. Amaka placed her hand on Daniel's. "Tomorrow, no matter what happens, promise me you won't give up." He nodded. But his mind was elsewhere. The memory of the masked man haunted him, the glint of the gun, the silent threat. He knew tomorrow wouldn't just be about dance. And he was right. At midnight, gunshots cracked the campus air. Students screamed, doors slammed. The sound came from near the auditorium. Daniel rushed out in the rain, his heart pounding. There, on the wet ground, lay one of Victor's crew members, blood spreading across his shirt. His eyes stared at nothing. The gunman was gone. Campus security arrived too late. Rumors spread like wildfire. Who did it? Was it Daniel's crew? Is this revenge? Victor stormed through the hostel halls, rage in his eyes. He grabbed Daniel by the collar. "You think you can win against me with your little dance? Listen, tomorrow isn't just about the stage. Tomorrow, someone will die." Daniel stared back, his voice low but steady. "No, Victor. Tomorrow, shadows will dance." And in the darkness outside, the masked man cleaned his gun and whispered. "Tomorrow, the real show begins." The sun rose heavy the next morning. Riverside College campus was buzzing, but not with joy. Fear stalked every corridor. A student had died, and whispers filled the air. Some said it was gang violence, others said it was revenge. Yet the dance championship could not be stopped. The hall was decorated, the stage glowing under golden lights. Judges sat in front with stern faces, while students packed the seats, excitement mixed with dread. Backstage, the shadows huddled together. Amaka tied a red scarf around her wrist. Daniel wore his patched sneakers, his chest rising and falling fast. Victor and the Vipers arrived in style, dressed in matching black and gold, smirks plastered on their faces. But there was something colder in Victor's eyes today, a promise of destruction. The announcer's voice thundered. Welcome to the Inter-College Dance Championship. Tonight, legends will rise, and shadows will fall. As the drums kicked in, the war began. The Vipers went first. Their routine was flawless, synchronized flips, sharp moves, the crowd screaming in delight. Victor moved like a king on stage, every step dripping with arrogance. When they finished, the hall erupted with cheers. Then came the shadows. They stepped forward in silence. The music started slow, a haunting beat. Daniel moved first, his body flowing like water, telling a story of pain and struggle. Then Amaka spun into the rhythm, her scarf flying like fire. One by one, the crew joined in, each move raw, emotional, powerful. The crowd shifted. Silence fell. Then roars. Students rose to their feet. The shadows had stolen the moment. But then chaos. In the middle of their performance, a loud bang echoed through the hall. The music cut off. Screams filled the air. Someone had fired a gun. Students ducked, chairs overturned. On stage, Daniel froze, his heart racing. He looked up, and there he was. The masked stranger, standing at the back of the hall, gun raised, pointing at him. Security rushed forward, but the man vanished into the shadows. When calm returned, the judges argued. Some wanted to cancel the event, but the crowd demanded the show go on. Fear mixed with adrenaline. The competition wasn't just about dance anymore, it was survival. And Daniel knew the gunman wasn't shooting at the crowd. He was shooting at him. That night, chaos reigned on campus. Students whispered about the masked shooter. Some believed it was Victor's doing. Others thought it was gang rivalry. Daniel couldn't sleep. He sat outside the hostel, rain dripping from the roof, his thoughts heavy. Amaka joined him, wrapping her scarf around his shoulders. Daniel, why you? Why is someone after you? She asked softly. He shook his head. I don't know. But I feel like this isn't about dance anymore. It's deeper. Suddenly, footsteps approached. A shadow emerged from the darkness. Daniel stood, ready to fight. But the figure stopped, trembling, before pulling off his hood. It was Chike, one of Victor's closest friends. His eyes were bloodshot, his voice shaky. Daniel, you need to know the truth. The man with the gun, he's not one of us. He's not even a student. Chike swallowed hard, looking around as if the shadows could hear him. He's Victor's brother. Daniel's blood ran cold. Victor's brother? Chike nodded, tears in his eyes. He just got out of prison. He's dangerous. Victor brought him here to make sure you never stand on that stage again. Daniel, they're planning something bigger. Tomorrow's finals, it won't end with dancing. It will end with blood. Before Daniel could speak, a gunshot split the night. Chike's body jerked, blood staining his shirt. He collapsed at Daniel's feet. From the distance, a shadow melted back into the dark, gun smoking in his hand. Daniel dropped to his knees, clutching Chike's body, his heart breaking, rage burning. Amaka screamed, holding Daniel as sirens wailed. And in the silence that followed, Daniel whispered to himself. This isn't just a dance anymore. This is war. The campus was no longer the same. After Chike's murder, fear spread like wildfire. Students whispered in corners, doors locked early, and nobody dared walk alone at night. But the finals of the dance championship loomed, and the entire city was expected to attend. Daniel sat in his hostel room, staring at the wall. His crew was asleep, exhausted from rehearsals, but his heart pounded with rage. Chike's last words haunted him, "It won't end with dancing. It will end with blood." Amaka slipped into the room quietly. She knelt beside him, holding his trembling hands. "Daniel, you don't have to do this. We can walk away. Leave the competition. Leave this madness." Daniel shook his head, fire in his eyes. "No, Amaka. If I walk away now, Victor wins. His brother wins. Fear wins. No. Tomorrow. I dance. Not just for me. For Chike. For every shadow they tried to silence." Tears filled Amaka's eyes, but she kissed his forehead and whispered, "Then tomorrow, I dance with you. Even if it kills us." Outside, in the darkness of the hostel block, a man with a scarred face loaded his gun at Victor's brother, Tund, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The finals night arrived. The auditorium overflowed with students, lecturers, even reporters. Security was doubled, but fear lingered in every corner. The lights blazed, the drums thundered, and the air was electric. Victor's crew went first. Their performance was sharp, ruthless, their moves almost violent, as if every step was aimed at Daniel. The crowd cheered, but the energy was tense. Then the shadows walked in. Daniel led them, Amaka by his side, their faces fierce. The music began slow at first, then bursting into flames of rhythm. Every movement told a story: pain, betrayal, hope, survival. The crowd roared louder than ever before. Judges nodded, impressed. For a moment, it seemed victory was theirs. But then, chaos. From the upper balcony, a gunshot cracked through the hall. Screams tore through the air. Students ducked. Daniel froze as the bullet whistled past him, grazing his arm. Blood trickled down, but he didn't stop. Amaka screamed, but Daniel's voice thundered across the hall. "No! We finish this! We finish the dance!" The shadows kept moving, every step defying fear. The crowd rose, clapping, stomping, screaming with them. The hall shook, not just with music, but with rebellion. Victor's eyes widened. He hadn't expected this. His brother fired again, but security rushed the balcony. Gunshots echoed, people screamed, and the competition turned into a battlefield. Daniel, bleeding, still danced. His shadow swallowed the stage. The finals ended in chaos. No winner was declared. The auditorium reeked of smoke, sweat, and fear. Students scattered into the night, police swarmed the grounds, and the sound of sirens filled the campus. But the war wasn't over. Later that night, Daniel and Amaka hid in the abandoned library, his arm wrapped in a makeshift bandage. She pressed her forehead against his. "You could have died out there, Daniel." His voice was steady. Better to die standing than live crawling. Suddenly, the door creaked open. Footsteps echoed. Daniel grabbed a broken chair leg, ready to fight. But when the figure stepped into the dim light, his heart froze. It was Amaka's older brother, Kunal, a final-year student, once a campus cultist, now reformed. His face was hard, his voice low. "Daniel, you don't understand. This isn't just about Victor. It's bigger than him. Tund, Victor's brother, he's not working alone. There are men funding him. Dangerous men. They're using this dance war as a cover for something darker." Daniel frowned. "What are you talking about?" Kunal leaned closer, his voice almost a whisper. "They're planning to smuggle weapons through the campus during the championship. That's why Tund is here. That's why the gun. You've been caught in the middle of something far deadlier than dance." Before Daniel could respond, glass shattered. A bullet ripped through the room, missing Kunal by inches. Tund's laughter echoed outside. "Daniel!" Amaka screamed. They hit the floor as more bullets tore through the shelves. Kunal pulled Daniel and Amaka toward the back door. "This isn't just shadows anymore," Kunal growled. "This is war against monsters. And if you want to survive, Daniel, you'll have to fight in ways you've never danced before." And outside, in the pouring rain, Tund reloaded his gun, whispering into the night. "Tomorrow, no shadows will rise." The rain poured like the sky itself was warning the campus. Students stayed locked in their hostels, but Daniel could not rest. Kunal's words rang in his head, "This isn't just about dance. It's bigger. It's war." That night, Kunal led Daniel and Amaka through the back alleys of Riverside College. They stopped at an old warehouse behind the sports field. Inside, crates were stacked high. When Kunal pried one open, Daniel froze. Guns. Dozens of them. Hidden under cloths labeled stage props. Daniel's chest tightened. "They're bringing these into the school?" Kunal nodded grimly. "Victor's brother, Tund, is working with smugglers. Tomorrow they move them." The dance competition was just a distraction. Amaka shivered, clutching Daniel's arm. "We can't fight them. They'll kill us." Kunal's eyes darkened. "You're already in the fight, Amaka. Whether you like it or not." Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside. Daniel quickly shut the crate. Through a crack in the wall, he saw them. Victor and Tund, walking into the warehouse, laughing like kings of the night. Victor's voice dripped with venom. "Tomorrow, when we bury Daniel and his foolish shadows, no one will even notice what else disappears from this school." Daniel's fists clenched, rage burning hotter than fear. He wanted to storm out, to fight them now. But Kunal gripped his shoulder. "Not yet. If you go now, you'll die. Pick your battle, Daniel. Pick it well." By dawn, the campus was boiling. News of the shootout had spread beyond the school. Police patrolled, journalists swarmed the gates, and yet the finals were still set to continue. Nobody knew why, but Daniel suspected, because it was never just about dance. Back in the hostel, the shadows gathered. They were shaken, some ready to quit. One of the boys, Say, whispered, "Daniel, this isn't just a competition anymore. This is madness. We could die." Daniel looked at them, his eyes blazing. "Yes, we could die. But if we quit now, they win. Victor wins. Tund wins. Everyone who thinks the poor, the weak, the broken don't matter, they win. If we dance tomorrow, we don't just dance for ourselves. We dance for everyone who ever lived in shadows." His words lit a fire in their hearts. Slowly, one by one, they nodded. They would fight. They would dance. But just as hope rose, disaster struck. That night, as they returned to their hostel, smoke filled the air. Flames licked the building. Their room was on fire. Beds, costumes, everything burned to ash. Students screamed and ran, buckets of water too small against the raging fire. Daniel dropped to his knees, the weight crushing him. They had nothing left. No costumes. No props. Nothing. From across the field, Victor stood watching, a cruel smile on his face. Tund's arm rested on his shoulder, gun gleaming at his side. Amaka pulled Daniel up, her eyes fierce. "They can burn our clothes. They can break our bodies. But they can't kill our spirit. Tomorrow, we dance in fire." Daniel wiped his tears, looked into her eyes, and nodded. The shadows had lost everything. But in that fire, they found something greater, unyielding resolve. The night before the final showdown, the campus was locked under curfew. Students whispered behind closed doors, waiting for morning, waiting for blood. Daniel sat alone under the old mango tree, staring at the sky. His arm still throbbed from the bullet wound, his clothes smelled of smoke, but his heart was steel. Amaka found him there, carrying two small cloths. She tied one around his arm, the other around her wrist. "A mark," she said softly. "So no matter what happens tomorrow, we fight as one. Their eyes locked, and for the first time, Daniel kissed her, soft, desperate, like it could be their last moment alive. But the moment shattered with the sound of heavy boots. Victor stepped out of the darkness, clapping slowly, Tund beside him with the ever-present gun. Well, Victor sneered. The boy with broken shoes, and the girl who thinks she's his queen. How touching. Daniel stood, shielding Amaka. This ends tomorrow, Victor. On the stage. No more hiding. Victor's smirk widened. Oh, it will end tomorrow. But not the way you think. Tund raised his gun, pointing it at Daniel's chest. Amaka gasped. But Kunal appeared from the shadows, machete in hand, stepping between them. If you want blood, Kunal growled, you'll step through me first. The air crackled. Shadows against shadows. Tomorrow wasn't just about dance. It was about survival. And as Victor and Tund melted back into the night, Daniel knew the final dance wouldn't just be for victory. It would be for life. The campus was no longer safe. Since the bloody night in the abandoned hall, patrol vans moved around with sirens, and students whispered as if the walls had ears. The competition was only days away, yet everyone knew the real fight wasn't for the trophy, it was for survival. Amma lay awake on her bed, her eyes burning holes into the ceiling. She kept replaying the last words one of the masked attackers had shouted before running. You can't dance your way out of this, someone close to you has already sold you out. The thought haunted her. She wanted to believe her team was solid, but doubt spread like smoke in her chest. Kola? No, impossible, he was too deeply in love with her. Saad? She had stood by her through every storm. Daniel? He had sacrificed too much already. Then her phone buzzed. A text, no name attached. Just words. Be careful who you trust. The shadow is not far from you. Her hands shook as she read it again. Could it be Saad? Could it be Daniel? Or maybe... was it Kola himself? The next day, during rehearsals, tension hung heavy. Daniel was unusually quiet, stealing glances at his phone. Saada's smile seemed forced. Even Kola's usually bold energy felt stiff. Then it happened. In the middle of practice, two campus guards stormed in, armed and serious. Which of you is Amma? One barked. Her heart nearly stopped. Slowly, she raised her hand. You're wanted for questioning. Attempted murder and possession of firearms. The whole hall went silent. Amma's knees weakened as Daniel rushed forward. This is madness. She's innocent. But one look at the guard's eyes told her everything. Someone had planted this. Someone close. And when Amma was dragged out, her tear-filled eyes caught sight of Saada's trembling hands and Daniel's phone screen lit up with a message. It's done. She's out of the way. Amma's world shattered. They kept her locked in a small, suffocating campus security cell, the kind meant for drunk students on rag day. But this was no rag day. This was betrayal at its peak. Kola barged into the office, his voice like thunder. You can't hold her here without proof. Who accused her? Show me evidence. The officers only smirked. Orders from above. Above. That meant someone powerful. Someone pulling strings beyond student level. Meanwhile, in the dance hall, Daniel stood before the team, sweat dripping from his face. We can't stop rehearsals, he said, his voice breaking. Amma wouldn't want that. But deep inside, guilt gnawed at him. His phone kept buzzing. It was Chief Ade, the sponsor he had secretly struck a deal with weeks ago. Stay focused, the text read. Deliver her downfall and your future is secure. Daniel clenched his fists. He hated himself. He loved Amma, but his family's debts were drowning him. Chief Ade had promised to clear everything if Amma was out of the way. That night, as the rain beat against the windows, Kola sneaked into the cell block with a plan. Amma, he whispered, sliding a key through the bars. We're leaving. Tonight. Her eyes widened. But the competition. Forget the competition. This is war now. They want you dead. But before she could answer, a shot rang out. Glass shattered. Alma screamed as a bullet narrowly missed Kola's head and lodged into the wall. The shadows had found them. The campus erupted in chaos. Masked men stormed the security block, guns blazing. Students scattered in panic as guards tried to return fire. But these weren't random thugs, they moved like trained mercenaries. Alma clutched Kola's hand as they crawled through smoke and debris. Why us? Why me? She whispered, tears streaming. Kola's jaw tightened. Because you're not just a dancer anymore. You've become a symbol, and symbols are dangerous. They broke into the night, running past the shattered gate. The rain drenched them, but freedom was only an illusion. From the corner of the street, Daniel appeared, his face pale, his hands trembling, and in his grip, a pistol. Alma froze. Daniel. His eyes were full of torment. Alma, I never wanted this. I never wanted you to suffer. But they own me. If I don't finish this, my family dies. Kola stepped forward, his own gun raised. Drop it, Daniel. Don't make me choose. Tears spilled down Daniel's cheeks. I love her too, Kola. I always have. But love can't feed a hungry family. For a moment, silence reigned, broken only by the storm above. Then a shot thundered. But who pulled the trigger? And who fell? The shot echoed through the storm like thunder splitting the earth. Alma's scream tore the night, raw and desperate. She dropped to her knees as Kola stumbled backward, his shirt blooming red. No, she cried, catching him before he fell. His eyes locked on hers, fierce and burning. Don't stop dancing, he whispered, his breath ragged. Daniel stood frozen, the gun still shaking in his hands. His face was pale, his lips trembling. I didn't mean to, it wasn't supposed to hit him. Before anyone could move, headlights flared across the road. A black SUV screeched to a stop, and out stepped Chief Ade himself, flanked by armed men in black. His cigar glowed in the rain, his smile wicked. Well, he sneered, what a show. My investment finally pays off. Alma's heart pounded. It all clicked, the sabotage, the accusations, Daniel's torment. Chief Ade was the puppet master. You destroyed my life. Alma spat, her voice breaking. Ade chuckled. No, girl. I gave you a stage. But you forgot something, in every dance, there must be shadows. And I am the shadow. His men raised their rifles. Daniel stepped between them and Alma, his hands trembling but defiant. Enough. You've used me long enough. If you want her, you'll have to kill me too. Ade's face darkened. So be it. The first shots rang out. Daniel spun, firing back wildly. Kola, bleeding but alive, pulled Alma toward cover. Sparks flew as bullets chewed through walls. Students screamed from nearby dorms, filming the madness with shaky phones. The dance of shadows had become war. When the smoke cleared, Daniel was on the ground, his blood mixing with the rain. His last words were barely a whisper to Alma, dance, win, don't let him take it. Alma's tears mixed with the storm. Something inside her broke. She stood, trembling, drenched, and furious. For the first time, she wasn't just a dancer, she was a warrior. And Chief Ade was going to pay. The night of the competition arrived. The great auditorium of Royal Heights College was packed. Judges, parents, students, everyone buzzed with excitement. Nobody knew the blood that had been spilled to reach the stage. Alma walked in, dressed in black and red, her hair tied high, her eyes fierce. Kola, patched up but weak, sat in the front row, his hand pressed to his bandaged side. Saad stood by her, silent but loyal. When the spotlight hit, Alma stepped onto the stage. The music began, a haunting beat, deep and pulsing. She closed her eyes, hearing Daniel's dying words echoing inside her. Dance, win. And she danced. Every spin, every step, every breath was war and love and pain woven into art. The crowd gasped. Her body told a story of betrayal, bullets, and burning hearts. She wasn't just competing, she was fighting for everyone who had fallen. In the shadows of the hall, Chief Ade watched, his jaw tight. He whispered to his men, if she wins, she doesn't leave this building alive. But Alma wasn't dancing for a trophy. She was dancing for survival. As the music reached its peak, she leaped high, landing with thunder. The hall erupted in cheers so loud it shook the walls. The judges stood. Perfect score. Alma's team had won. Suddenly gunfire ripped through the hall. Chaos exploded as Ade's men stormed the stage. Students screamed, scattering. Alma froze, but before a bullet could reach her, Kola staggered onto the platform, firing the pistol Daniel had dropped. The fight was brutal, close, and bloody. The stage became a battlefield. But when the smoke cleared, Ade was on his knees, his gun knocked away. Alma stood over him, breathing hard, her eyes blazing. "You wanted me to dance in your shadows," she said, voice trembling with rage. "But tonight, I became the fire." The hall roared with applause. Ade was dragged away in chains. The nightmare was over. Alma fell into Kola's arms, both of them battered, broken, but alive. Tears streamed down her face as the crowd chanted her name. And in that moment, she realized, this wasn't just a dance competition anymore. It was the story of survival, of love, of betrayal, of fire in the shadows. The dance of shadows had ended, but its legend would burn forever. And so, the dance of shadows comes to an end. A story of love born in pain, friendships shattered by betrayal, and courage tested in fire. Alma stepped into the spotlight as just a dancer, but she left as a warrior. Kola gave his blood, Daniel gave his life, and together they proved that sometimes the greatest battles are not fought with guns or fists, but with the fire of the human spirit. In every college, in every street, shadows will rise. But remember this, light always finds a way to dance.